In the winter of 1947, the small town of Ashford, Pennsylvania, was blanketed in snow. Street lamps glowed with a soft golden haze. Shop windows displayed toy trains and wool coats, and families huddled around radios to hear Bing Crosby croon White Christmas. But Ashford carried a secret legend, whispered from one generation to the next. On Christmas Eve, at the stroke of midnight, a ghostly train passed through the old abandoned station. It was said to carry passengers from the past, soldiers, workers, mothers and children who had once lived in Ashford but were gone. The train, they said, brought blessings to those who believed. Our story follows Henry Caldwell, a factory worker in his 40s. Henry had lived through the Depression, served in World War II, and returned home weary. Though he loved his wife and daughter, he had grown cynical. To him, Christmas was just tinsel and bills. One snowy evening, his daughter Margaret, age 10, asked, "Daddy, do you believe in the midnight train?" Henry chuckled. "Trains are for steel and smoke, not miracles." But deep down, he remembered his own father telling him the tale by candlelight in 1932, when the world seemed darker than ever. On Christmas Eve, Henry walked past the abandoned station after his late shift. The snow crunched under his boots, and the wind carried faint echoes of carols. Suddenly, the ground trembled. A whistle pierced the night, low, mournful, yet strangely comforting. Through the swirling snow, a train appeared. Its cars gleamed like polished silver, though no tracks lay beneath. Inside, Henry saw faces. His father, who had died years ago, neighbors long gone, even soldiers in uniform, smiling as if at peace. The conductor, a tall man in a 1930s cap, tipped his hat. "Board if you seek the spirit of Christmas." Henry stepped aboard. The train smelled of coal smoke and pine needles, though no fire burned. Passengers greeted him warmly, offering peppermint sticks and stories. He sat beside his father, who said, "Son, Christmas is not about what you've lost. It's about what you still carry." The train passed through scenes of Ashford's past. Children skating on frozen ponds in 1935. Families sharing rationed meals during the war. Couples dancing in the town hall to Glenn Miller's orchestra. Each memory reminded Henry of resilience, love, and joy, even in hardship. As the train slowed, the conductor handed Henry a small brass bell. "This rings only for those who believe," he said. Henry stepped off, and the train vanished into the snow. He stood alone at the station, clutching the bell. When he shook it, a clear, gentle chime rang out. For the first time in years, Henry felt warmth in his chest. Henry returned home, kissed Margaret on the forehead, and placed the bell on the mantel. He told her, "I believe now, and I always will." From that Christmas on, the Caldwell family rang the bell at midnight, passing it down through generations. The legend of the midnight train lived on, not as a ghost story, but as a reminder that even in the hardest times, Christmas carried hope. The story stopped here for a while. Keep listening in preparing the next story for you to relax and to enjoy the nostalgic vibes from 1930s to 1950s.
As daylight fades to silver light, I still remember frozen breaths, the sting of frost against my skin. scent of smoke, the soft lamps glow, and distant songs that draw me in. I'm drifting through a frozen haze, with every flake that chills the night. May your heart find gentle quiet as daylight fades to silver light. I'm walking through the mist of dreams, where shadows stretch and embers die. Each step is slow, the cold wind grows, and dreams like silent rivers sigh. I'm strolling through a world of white, with crystal flakes and a silver light, where quiet drifts fall soft and deep, and evening wraps the snow in night. I'm strolling through a world of white, with every flake that gently flies. May your soul find calm and quiet as daylight fades and the stars arise. I still recall those frozen days, the touch of frost upon my skin, the scent of pine, the candles glow, and whispered dreams that lie within. I'm strolling through a world of white, with every flake Each step is slow. The cold winds blow, and dreams like frozen rivers flow. I'm wandering through a quiet fall.
Long ago, in the snowy hills of New England, there was a small town called Everpine. Every Christmas Eve, the townsfolk gathered in the square, lit lanterns, and sang carols until midnight. But one year, a terrible blizzard struck. Roads were buried, food was scarce, and the people feared Christmas would be lost. The elders spoke of an old legend, a mystical white stag that appeared only on Christmas Eve. It was said that whoever followed the stag would find hope, warmth, and blessings for the town. Most dismissed it as a fairy tale, except for Clara, a brave 14-year-old girl who believed the story was true. Clara set out into the storm, bundled in her father's old coat. Snowflakes stung her cheeks, and the wind howled like wolves. She carried a lantern, its flame flickering against the darkness. Suddenly, through the swirling snow, she saw it. A magnificent white stag, antlers glowing like icicles, eyes shimmering like stars. The stag bowed its head as if inviting her to follow. Clara whispered, "If you are real, guide me to the light of Christmas." The stag led Clara through 3 trials. The forest of silence, a place where no sound could be heard, not even the crunch of snow. Clara felt alone, but remembered her mother's words. Christmas is carried in the heart, even when the world is quiet. Her lantern glowed brighter, breaking the silence. The frozen lake of doubt. The ice cracked beneath her feet. Clara nearly fell, but the stag stamped its hooves, freezing the lake solid. She realized that faith, like ice, can hold if you trust it. The mountain of shadows. Dark figures whispered, "Christmas is only about gifts and greed." Clara raised her lantern, and the stag's antlers blazed with light, scattering the shadows. She declared, "Christmas is about hope, love, and the courage to share." At the mountain's peak, Clara found a hidden grove where the stag lowered its head. From its antlers fell a single glowing crystal, shaped like a star. Clara carried it back to Everpine, where the townsfolk gathered around. When she placed the crystal in the town square, it burst into light, warming the air, melting the snow, and filling the people with joy. The villagers sang louder than ever before, their voices echoing through the hills. The blizzard faded, and Christmas was saved. From that night on, Everpine celebrated not just with lanterns and carols, but with a story, the legend of the Christmas stag. Parents told their children that if you believe in hope, courage, and kindness, the stag might appear to you one Christmas Eve, guiding you toward the true spirit of the season. And Clara, she grew up to be the town's storyteller, reminding everyone that Christmas is not about what we receive, but about the light we carry and share. The story stopped here for a while. Keep listening in preparing the next story for you to relax and to enjoy the nostalgic vibes from 1930s to 1950s.
I'm drifting through a frozen dawn with icy winds and pale gray skies, where whispers linger on glassy roads and twilight falls with silent cries. I'm drifting through a frozen dawn with every shard of frost that flies. May your soul find calm and quiet as daylight fades and darkness lies. I still remember frozen mornings, the sting of cold upon my skin, the scent of smoke and frost, the dim glow of lanterns lost, and distant echoes carried thin. I'm drifting through a frozen dawn with every shard of frost that flies. May your soul find calm and quiet as daylight fades and darkness lies. I'm walking through the still of ice, where shadows stretch and embers glow. Each step is slow, the night turns deep, and dreams like silent rivers flow. I'm strolling through a frosty eve with twinkling lights and velvet night, where carols softly linger on quiet streets and snowflakes dance in silver light. I'm strolling through a frosty eve with every bell that gently rings. May your heart be filled with wonder as Christmas joy to sing. I still remember cozy fires, the scent of pine and cinnamon, the glow of candles, the laughter near, and timeless songs we all hold dear. I'm strolling through a frosty eve, with every bell that gently rings. May your heart be filled with wonder as Christmas joy begins to sing. I'm walking through the magic moments where warmth and peace and hope entwine. Each step is bright, the night's alive, and dreams like sparkling stars align. The kinds I cried and they leave my heart sunk, like magnolia lettuce fruit. May your heart be filled with wonder as Christmas joy begins to sing. I'm drifting through a frozen morn, with biting winds and silver dawn, where quiet breaths float on icy roads, and twilight falls with silent yawn. I'm drifting through a frozen morn.
In the winter of 1933, during the depths of the Great Depression, the small town of Willow Creek, Ohio, struggled to keep its spirit alive. Families patched coats, shared bread, and listened to Roosevelt's fireside chats on radios that hummed with static. Yet every Christmas Eve, the townsfolk gathered at the old church, where a single candle was lit in the window. Legend said that if the candle burned until dawn, the town would be blessed with hope for the year ahead. But that year, the candle was missing. The church's caretaker had passed away, and no one knew who would carry on the tradition. Enter Eleanor Hayes, a widow in her 50s who had lost her husband in the First World War and raised her children alone. She lived quietly, sewing clothes for neighbors and baking bread when she could. Few knew that Eleanor's family had been the keepers of the candle for generations. On Christmas Eve, she decided to honor the tradition. She walked through the snow, clutching a brass lantern that had belonged to her husband. Inside was the candle, small, worn, but still strong. As Eleanor carried the candle to the church, she passed scenes of hardship. Children huddled in doorways, their shoes patched with cardboard. Men standing in bread lines, their faces weary but proud. Families gathered around radios, listening to carols faintly broadcast from Cincinnati. Each time she passed, she lifted the lantern, and the candle's glow seemed to warm the air. People followed her, curious, until a small procession formed behind her. The wind howled, threatening to snuff out the flame. Eleanor shielded it with her hands. Snow piled high, forcing her to trudge slowly. At one point, the lantern slipped and the flame nearly died. But a young boy, Tommy, cupped his hands around it, whispering, "Don't give up, Ma'am. Christmas needs this light." Together, they pressed on, the crowd growing larger with every step. At last, Eleanor reached the church. She placed the candle in the window, and its glow spread across Willow Creek. The townsfolk gathered, singing carols softly at first, then louder, until the whole town seemed alive again. The legend said the candle would bless the town, and indeed the next year brought small miracles. Jobs returned, families reunited, and hope rekindled. From then on, the candle was lit every Christmas Eve, passed from hand to hand, generation to generation. People said that when the candle burned, you could almost hear the voices of those who had gone before, soldiers, workers, mothers, and children, reminding the living that Christmas was not about wealth, but about endurance, kindness, and shared light. And Eleanor, she became known as the keeper of the candle, her story told in Willow Creek for decades, long after the Depression had ended.
The way the cold would touch my skin, the scent of pine wood, the warm candlelight, and distant voices time can't win. I'm drifting through a frost-kissed dawn, with every snowflake slowly flies. May your heart find calm and shelter as daylight fades and darkness lies. I'm stepping through the veil